Okay, so hi everyone. I'm here today with Irene Ward, who teaches 5 Rhythms, amongst other things. But he's going to talk to us about 5 Rhythms today, and I'm super excited to be talking about this topic. So I've been lucky enough to be on a dance floor with Irene recently, in these strange times, and it's been amazing. So it's really lovely to have time to kind of dig in a little bit deeper and find out a bit more about 5 Rhythms from your perspective. So thanks so much for being here today and taking the
Mm,
time with me.
you're very welcome.
So maybe for those who don't know a lot or anything about 5 Rhythms, how would you describe it to someone who's not so familiar with it?
Okay, so it's a movement meditation practice. So it's based on the foundation of it is the wave. It's a foundational metaphor. So there's 5 rhythms as the clue is in the name. So there's flowing, staccato, chaos, lyrical, stillness. And in a class or in a session, we'd move through, there's a beautiful arc between all of these rhythms. So we'd start with flowing, which is kind of finding our feet, landing in wherever we're working, landing in a studio, landing, leaving, making that transition from the journey to the class, to the session. So flowing, finding my feet, landing, coming into the body, really connecting to the feet and the lower half of the body, because we're often in our heads, we're often thinking, and we're working with the mind, we're working with our heads. So we're really flipping the focus into the body in for the first couple of rhythms into the lower half of the body. So the feet and flowing, and then the second rhythm of staccato into the hips. So we're really grounding and finding focus and definition in the hips. And in chaos, I'm just doing a short version of these, obviously. So in chaos, we're kind of shaking it all up, letting it go, really releasing the head in chaos, releasing the neck and the head, kind of ragdoll dance. And then in lyrical, the space of lightening up, playfulness, creativity, the space, the new space after we've let go. So after releasing and shaking out, oh, what's here now? Who am I now? So in lyrical helps us not to be so fixed, fixed identity, fixed belief, the dogma, kind of releasing all of that and just finding the lightness, finding the space, finding the shapeshifter in lyrical. And then moving into stillness. So lyrical is kind of, it's bubbly, it's finding the wings, the air, it's moving with the space above. And then in stillness, like we're coming into like really the big energy field, like stillness contains everything. So the rhythm of stillness in 5 Rhythms is really important. It's really, there's gold in all of the rhythms, but really in stillness, we're moving the body to still the mind and to really come into the body. So in stillness, we've come into flow, we've come into staccato, we've come through the other 4 rhythms. So we've let go, we've grounded, we've centered, we've lightened up. So in stillness, it's like my connection, it's really the space for the soul, for the spirit, for my dance as a prayer, my dance as the energy of my dance rippling out into the room, rippling out beyond the room. So really the goodness of my dance, the goodness of the energy that I create in my dance, meeting the world, So it's nourishing, it's nourishing me, and it's nourishing the room, it's rippling out. So it's me plugging in to spirit, me plugging into soul, you know, connecting with that, with intuition, with guides, with whatever it is I believe in, whatever sustains me. So Gabrielle had the term Gabrielle used for stillness was that we come into the silver desert. So it's this beautiful image of the, you know, the shimmering as far as the eye can see. So this silver desert, which is very empty. So in that emptiness, I've emptied out. So yeah, it's just that beautiful space that we all need to connect into something bigger than ourselves. So in stillness, what's bigger than me? What am I connecting to? And what's maybe coming towards me? So in stillness, there's the possibility of meeting that. What's coming towards me? You know, so taking the time to really, you know, to take a pause, to have, certainly to slow down, to breathe more deeply. Still moving, it's still dynamic, it's still movement, but it's slower. It's very present. So that's the rhythms, that's the arc. We move through all of those different energies to different types of music to help us to move, to help us to invite those into the body.
It's funny, as you're talking, I feel my whole system is like really relaxing and grounding, and I feel it's almost like having gone through a mini wave. That was such a lovely summary of all of the rhythms and the wave that moves through them, because I almost feel like I've like it's like a sense memory of how I feel when I have moved through a wave, and that lovely out when you land and integrate everything. It's gorgeous. So yeah, and the tunes that you pick are always amazing and really just so perfect on the day. I love, particularly drawn to
Thank you.
your playlist. But
I love music, always have, and it's a lovely part of the practice for me is working with the music. And that kind of, just slotting them together. It's like a jigsaw, you know, and what works well together. Listening to words, sometimes words as an encourager, as a provocateur, if that's a word, as a provocation, you know. So the music can be, and then no words, like just use an instrumental. And there's so much music, you know, so using all different types of music. It's not like that it's one genre of music. So I love that. I love playing music, old music, like from the 40s or from the 50s. Go anywhere, I can pick music from anywhere. So I love that. And music is so powerful, you know, like it's a privilege actually to work with the music in that way. And our body, you know, there's loads of science about the effect of music on the body, you know, and the different notes and different octaves and all of that. But we know that because we know how it feels like, you know, music can move millions of people, like a powerful song, millions of people around the world. Doesn't matter where you're from, what country you're from, that, you know, these songs travel around the world and move people of all ages, of all cultures. So there's like music is magic, and it's medicine in that the use of how indigenous people or shamanic people use medicine is like it's medicine for the soul. It's balm for the soul. And, you know, sometimes people ask for, you know, a song or to listen to at home, and sometimes it's not quite the same. Like the music, when we're in the collective experience, and the music is working, it's magic and it's medicine. You know, it's very, very powerful. And actually, that's really a beautiful thing about the 5 rhythms is the collective nature of it. is that it's not just my dance. It's not just about me. That actually my work, my dance is really enhanced in the group,
Absolutely.
and by other people.
That witnessing, yeah. There's such a healing space, you're creating a space, you're holding space for us to, well, first of all, move in a way that is like organic to ourselves, and that's not scripted, not about other people finding it attractive. It's such an antidote to social media, for example, or just the kind of the general objectification, that we live in. To be given permission is kind of scary as well at first, to be given permission to move whatever way you move, and then be witnessed in that. So you're watching other people do that, and then I remember at the beginning I was like, we're allowed to do this? This is, wow. This is so different to any other space, really. And then to be kind of in a room full of people who are making their movements, and finding that healing in the music, it really amplifies the healing and the
so just to say a little bit on that, Delphine, like it takes a while, I would say, like, that for me, like, I'm doing this practice over 20 years, and the first time I went, I loved it straight away. I mean, I loved the music, I loved the group energy, I loved everything about it, actually, the first time I went. And it was great fun. Like, that's what it was for me. I know, like, it was fun, it was a buzz, like there was that. And I suppose, like, the chaos was like the rhythm of chaos with the kind of the peak of music, and that was, I loved that at the beginning. That was like, oh yeah, get the buzz, get the high energy, it'd be, the hair be flying, it'd be sweating, all of that. So there's different entry points for people, but certainly at the beginning for me, it was great fun. And then, as I committed, and I just loved doing it. It didn't feel like a commitment at all, but I suppose it was. And like, as I did more and more, it's like you drop into, the dance under the dance, the dance that your body wants to do, the dance that your body's been waiting to do, that if we, in the famous words, just get out of your own way, that what can happen, what can emerge from your body is very powerful. So within the, within the structure, like we'd have a class, like a 2-hour class, maybe a 1-day workshop, a 2-day workshop, a 5-day workshop. My longest one was, I think, 5 weeks. So that was like a long time dancing every day, dropping in more and more into the body. But there's, we hold a lot in the body. We hold, like, everything that's happened to us lives in the body, things that we haven't, that we're not finished with.
Absolutely.
Can emerge in your dance sometimes. And so what I really like about it as well is that we, when we practice the 5 rhythms, we learn to trust the body more. We learn to trust this container, this body that is my home. So there can be a time when we're coming home, when we're, maybe at the beginning of our practice, we leave the body for all sorts of reasons. We're up in the head for all sorts of reasons. So at the beginning, I'm always saying, breathe, come into the feet, into the hips, and we come into the body parts. We use the body parts to come into the body, to help us to stay. So there can be different things held in the body, and that can be maybe frightening for us sometimes. If I'm dancing and then I can feel emotional. But that's actually one of the great things I learned in 5 Rhythms is just keep moving. you know, that emotion passes. You know, is that if I'm feeling sad, and I don't want to feel sad, I want to feel happy and be, you know, if I'm in a room full of happy dancing people and I start to feel sad, I mightn't want to feel sad. I might want to, you know, might be wrecking my buzz and like just want to be having a good time. But we can learn just riding that wave. You know, that's really what we're learning, is like trusting the body, trusting what happens, trusting my body, trusting my dance, that my dance can contain me, can take whatever is going on, whatever my experience is, that my dance can actually hold me. So this is something that takes time.
Yeah.
You know, it can take time for us to feel that being at home in my body. And we might have a bit of a backlog, you know, we might have things that we need to release from,
just
you know,
a backlog of of stuff
yeah,
to be released.
yeah, but just saying, you know, the different possibilities with our work in 5 Rhythms.
Absolutely.
You know, like it's a movement meditation. So it's calling me to be present.
Yeah.
So no matter what's going on, to be present.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's enjoyable, if it's pleasurable, to be present to that. If it's difficult, if it's uncomfortable, to be present to that.
Yeah.
And to know that it's going to change. So we're not holding on to either, you know, the high or the sadness or whatever. But it sounds simple, Delphine, but it's very profound for me, that learning of just you know, everything changes.
Absolutely. I mean, that coming home, you know, where else are we given that cue, you know, to keep coming home, keep coming home, keep coming home to the body, and to actually be with what's moving in us? Because the rest of the day, everything is really set up to dissociate ourselves from our lived embodied experience. So I think that's where your role is really important as a space holder, because music can do different things to different people, and we can get quite, you know, entranced by it, or it can kind of amplify things in an artificial way as well as you know, in a more gentle way, connecting you with your emotions and what is actually there. But when you, as the person who is kind of holding that space, keep giving us those perfect cues at the right time to, you know, you're sensing in the room maybe what you really sense, the energy in the room, and then you're sort of checking, you know, inviting us to come back to our experience, inviting us to stay with what might be uncomfortable, a bit unwelcome. You know, as you say, you might want to stay with the good buzz, but actually there's something kind of a bit heavy and it's a bit disappointing. Or I've also had the experience of coming in thinking, oh God, you know, I bet you I'm going to be bawling, you know, thank God, you know, looking forward to a space to be bawling, crying and like let it all flow. And then surprise, surprise, I'm delightful, sort of more light energy, and it's more playful, and it's almost kind of a bit baffling that, you know, it's like, well, where's all the heavy energy gone that I thought I was going to cry out? So we just don't know until we're in that present moment connection, which is what it's really,
that's right,
and very precious actually, to be invited and re-invited into that kind of presence and keep moving with yourself. It's it can go very deep, really can.
Oh yeah. And even, you know, like we had the chance to do some sessions, you know, when spaces opened again to, you know, to for small public gatherings and that. And I know we were nervous going back in, you know, because we'd been apart for 6 months. But I know, like, even those classes were really important for people, you know, and people were surprised by feeling, oh my God, I wasn't kind of, you know, curled up, angst ridden, you know, I actually felt the release and I felt the joy. So that was really lovely to hear.
It was a delight.
And like the joy of movement, the pleasure of movement, the pleasure of being with people on that arc, like it's really, really lovely.
Really
and you know, I was so, they were very precious classes for me to get back and to be in the room, and hopefully it won't be too long before we're back.
Yeah.
Because we need to kind of release and let, you know, especially, you know, particularly at this time when it's so intense, you know, like to release some of that
tension, and kind of just even from a kind of a nervous system perspective, there's such a backlog of stress, you know, chemicals and hormones in the body that, and it can be quite tempting to stay in kind of fight or flight mode and just keep stuck and kind of, you know, batten down the hatches and stay in sort of safety level stuff. But this is a real invitation to kind of evacuate all of that and let things flow again, get back into kind of a healthy sense of flow and heat and movement. And so as you describe it, you know, this sort of, obviously you have, you know, done your training and there's so much depth to all of this, but really the framework is not particularly heavy. Like conceptually, there's the 5 rhythms, there's the wave, you know, as a mover and a dancer, it feels like kind of just enough of a container and a kind of a framework to dance within, to feel like you can kind of do you know, within that space.
Yeah.
I'm curious of what drew you to this particular, you know, was this your entry point into authentic movement or movement meditation, or had you tried other types, or what brought you into this?
No, I hadn't tried other types, and I would say that you know, now there's a lot available. You know, people have discovered this kind of work and these kinds of practices. I would say like over 20 years ago that it was quite unusual. So I had my teacher was Katrina Nigilaforic, she was the first woman who'd gone in to train with Gabrielle. So she was working in the same area of work that I was working in community work. So I knew Katrina as a community worker.
Right.
So on the side, she was doing these 5 Rhythms classes. So I'd always heard about them, but I didn't fancy it because I was like, well, I work, you know, and I knew like lots of community workers were going. I was like,
and you weren't into it at the beginning? I
wasn't really into it because I was like, well, I work with everyone, you know, I want to do different things outside of work.
Yeah.
I just had this idea like of just doing different things outside of work. But then when I went, it was just like, I was just totally smitten. But that was the first, I was like, 5 Rhythms, what is this? Because Katrina there was a friend of hers who was doing a lot of promotion for her, Aileen. And Aileen was very, you know, very persuasive and very, you know, oh, you have to try this, you have to try this. And I said, what the bloody hell is 5 Rhythms? Like the name, it didn't grab me, like.
Right.
And I didn't really understand what it was. And still, I think I always say, like, just try it. Because to talk about it is difficult.
Yeah.
To get that across, you know, and you know, and a lot of people feel self-conscious about dancing and think you have to be a good dancer to come, like that's, and you don't, you just, you know, you have a body, you know, you come, you want to be present to yourself, you come to the class. It's not about, you know, it's actually not about being a dancer, and it's actually, in a funny way, not about dance at all.
And it's probably maybe a bit of an impediment to be used to dancing in certain forms, or unless
I think so.
Form of dancing that's quite kind of expressive and maybe more like
kind
of avant-garde.
I think it can be,
to shake that off and really, or dance the inside out, like those organic impulses. It's like,
that's
even
right.
myself, and I wouldn't see myself, you know, I'm not a dancer professionally or anything. It's like, oh, I'm making shapes that are kind of ugly, but that's okay. It's okay. You know, it's like, yes, I want to do this. Okay. And I'm going to do this move for a bit. And so I can imagine there being, you know, an extra layer of inner critic or censorship or of kind of just predefined, you know, stuff to get through before you can really dance that, the dance behind the dance, as you say, that underlayer of.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
and like that was kind of the genius with Gabrielle Roth, was, you know, was the genius of her was just like, yeah, everybody's a dancer. It's not an elitist thing. It's not, you know, at all. Like, she really, really loved and wanted this to be a very diversely available practice,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And we've a ways to go there, because there, you know, we have a ways to go, because not everybody has the headspace or the economic space to go and pay for classes and workshops. But, you know, it was really, she studied people, in motion. She saw the disconnection between the head and the body,
Mm-hmm.
you know, between the flesh and the spirit. And that, you know, she studied, you know, other indigenous cultures, and our ancestors danced, you know, for everything, for celebration, for harvest, you know, for Samhain, for Lunacy, for all of the festivals in Ireland. People danced. They danced around the bonfires. In Africa, people danced. South America, everywhere around the world, people dance for celebration, for all sorts of occasions. So we've kind of, you know, in our more kind of sophisticated, industrialized world, we've lost that. We've lost that connection, and we've suffered greatly from that broken connection. And therefore, you know, we do funny things like go to workshops to get back into my body. You know, it is
Yeah.
it is kind of strange, but that's where we're at, because we are very disconnected,
It's part of that
you
form
know.
of healing, you know, sort of white middle class person going to workshop to do what actually originally we were always designed to do, you know, is completely innate,
Yeah,
but actually we've lost. So we do need these spaces.
yeah,
We do need those cues. Like, oh, really? I should
yeah,
just listen to my body, okay? You know, but at the same time,
yeah,
culturally, we are very much taught to kind of really attune since childhood to other people's needs, other people's expectations of us, to how we should look, be, you know, what we should quote unquote do. So
oh yeah,
we really need these spaces where we can be freed up and kind of heal like those layers of conditioning and actually find ourselves and find out like who's inside here. What is my real modus operandi? Like, how do I move when I've done this enough times that I really don't care who else in the hall is looking at me? And it's quite a
yeah,
discovery. Like, it's been incredibly interesting for me over the years to discover how I've changed, you know, moving from being quite seeking the secure base, staying on my side of the room, kind of being
mm,
tentative, and then moving out a little bit, but then coming back to secure base. It's almost like watching that
mm,
early childhood development, you know, to then
mm,
in staccato making straight moves like directly across the room and really covering space and all of that. And it's been a really lovely
mm.
kind of parallel mirror to my own like personal healing journey and growth journey. And I've always been tipping
That's
into
lovely.
so it's really nice to, and it's embodied. So it's not just, you know, reading it in a book or journaling it or understanding it cognitively. It's not just the
Mm,
cranial brain that is getting this growth or this knowing. It's like deeply embedded in the tissues that, yeah,
yeah,
I can keep moving when I'm really, really sad, keep moving when I'm in shock, keep moving when I'm full of joy. I can hold, it's like
yeah,
how much joy can we hold in the body as well. And it's like the one constant,
exactly.
me and my body. I can be here in flow, be alive through it all, and have a safe
Mm.
haven within myself. Like, that's actually very, very special to come home to when you've had it kind of taken away from you.
It's really, it's so important. And I remember doing a little bit with kids
Mm-hmm.
in my daughter's school. Um, there was a move it week, you know, and I had the speaker. We set it up in the yard for a few of the days, and it was just so great.
Yeah.
And I did hear, I heard feedback like that. Some kids like were really well settled going into class
Well,
after the dance.
yeah.
You know, that they were more grounded, that they felt like some kids are like anxious going to school, and that was a chance to kind of release that and run around like a lula,
Yeah.
you know, and dance, and then go into class. So that was really lovely, actually, to do that with kids. But it's such you know, in a lot of people work, or not a lot, but there's some people work like in New York with the 5 Rhythms. They work with seniors and go into homes, people with Alzheimer's and dementia, because the music can be very evocative for people with those conditions, and it can really bring them back into the moment.
Yeah.
Playing music from their youth. And, you know, there's people doing work in prisons, there's people doing work in rehabs. Like there's a great universality about this practice, where we can bring it into all these different places.
Yeah. And a simplicity to it, so it is accessible. Like you say, you know, you can go quite deep in a workshop if you're doing, I know you do themed kind of workshops where the container goes that bit deeper and there's a commitment, not just you show up, you know, on one Friday night or so. And I see how flexible it is, that it can kind of stretch to really hold that much deeper psycho-emotional kind of processing and just awareness. Or it can be kind of lighter and more just going for the dance, you know, maybe there's stuff happening where you don't need to know it all or process it all. It's working its magic kind of in its own way. So there's all different ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can be just, you know, just fun and light, and I'm loving the music, you know. And like that, you say, like, it can be, we can't plan that in advance. You know, can't say, now I'm going to have, tonight my dance is going to just be fun.
You say we can't, but some of us try. We do, you know, it's like, on my way. Okay, this is how it's going to be, and the mind is.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, we do try. Believe me, I know that. And then you're kind of in the epic struggle, you know, in the dance, and like you're struggling with what's going on and trying to prevent what's going on happening.
Yeah.
And so then that's a very confused dance. And a very heady dance, isn't it? You know, it's very heady. So it's you know, when we realize, but of course, I mean, I still do it myself. I still sometimes don't want the dance that's happening, you know, and I want something else to be going on. But the more, you know, as they say, what you resist persists. Absolutely. It doesn't just go away.
Because you feel it, so it's kind of like it's a little laboratory, you know, on the dance floor. You see that and you feel it, and you can sense it in your dance, you know, and it's like, oh, there it is. There's that struggle between the mind, the defenses, the controller, you know, the inner judge, and then the organic impulse that's trying to just break free, and you can see that kind of tussle, you know, and then it's like, well, this is all perfect because this is me. This is what it is to be human. It is about the ego mind. It's all, you know, not making yourself wrong for doing that either. So it's kind of not judging the judging.
Absolutely.
It's all there in that space. So it's really experiential, you know, opportunity to kind of fight it out and kind of and then land and come back to yourself.
Yeah, and just even, you know, doing the moves of that struggle.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like actually embodying that and making that physical. So that's the great instruction at the beginning, is just, you know, make it physical, make it visible, you know, put whatever's going on, you know, make it physical, bring it into the body, whether it's the, you know, whatever that is, you know, the resistance, the frustration, the annoyance, the, you know, I hate, you know, a really common one is some people, you know, focus a lot on the music, and if I don't like one track, it's like, oh my God, you know. So whatever we put our attention on, you know, that is, so there's loads, there's just so much to work with. That's the great thing. And I forgot what I was going to say there. There was something, it's just you know, when someone when someone is having a very real, authentic dance, like it has a huge impact on the field, on the rest of the room, you know, and it gives a great permission.
Yeah.
You know, that really ripples out. Like we really do. I really love that about classes. I love that about the gathering. You know, is that we really do help each other. We really do support each other. You know, in so many ways, so many unspoken ways.
Yeah.
So just me doing my own dance in my own, you know, whatever way I'm doing it, but it's me, really helps other people to go there.
Yeah.
You know, so many times I've been helped like that. You know,
Yeah.
or it's okay to cry, it's okay to laugh, it's okay, you know, it's okay to lie down, it's okay, you know, if there's sounds coming out. So having that kind of permission, I think, is really important.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's really like, you don't have to have it all together. You know, you can just, you know, just let it go. You don't have to, you know, and for women that can be difficult for us, you know, if we like to be, you know, some of us like, whatever, if you like to be put together and don't like to get messy and sweaty and a bit red in the face, you know, you're being asked into that dance. You're being asked to maybe get a bit messy.
Absolutely.
If you want, you know.
Huge conditioning operating to stop us from being our messy selves and being wild, expressing
Yeah.
anger. You know, how often are we in spaces where it's just not okay to be angry? You know, sadness is an emotion that we're invited into more as women, I think, more easily.
Yeah.
Some of us, I know it's different for each person, but to witness somebody getting really noisy and sweaty and kind of like grunty on the dance floor, like that was
Yeah.
so liberating for me. And then when you're not maybe either feeling it on the day or you're not yet in that place where you feel able to do it, each person is embodying some aspect that is within in you as well. So, you know, the person who's kind of lying maybe in a corner moving very gently, or the person who's going wild and tribal, you know, it's like it's all there. So it's all permission to embody any of that. So then it's like, well, what's true for me in this moment? But that everyone
Yeah.
makes it possible for each other to do. It's like this kind of collective permission to dance your dance. And I love that Gabrielle Roth
Yeah.
quote of, if you don't do your dance, who will?
Yeah.
I started like crying the first time I read that, because it was, I
Yeah.
read it first, or if you said it I might have seen it as a quote, but I just remember being really, really hit by it, because I knew I wasn't doing my dance, and I
Yeah.
was feeling the repression of that, and the sorrow, and the loss actually of not embodying my own,
Yeah.
you know, truth in the world, and being so kind of constricted. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's so true. We're each unique, and permission to do you. That is also very, very, very precious.
Oh yeah. Totally. Like it's so, there's so much going on in a room, you know, with a lot of people doing their dance. There's so many layers going on. But like the container, like for me, you know, our training obviously, you know, helps us to hold the space, because, you know, when we go into our training, we've done a lot of dance. You know, we've done many, many, many hundreds and hundreds of waves. You know, we've done the emotional work at the heartbeat level. We've done, you know, we've done a lot of work. So for me, that really helped me to trust, you know, whatever comes up on the dance floor, you know, it's okay. It's just a dance. It's just energy that wants to move. So, you know, really we're asked just to do our own dance, to mind, you know. So if we're a fixer, you know, we want to run over when someone is having a hard time, we might want to run over, you know, bring the tissues, or, you know what I mean? But that could be totally just, it can be a big distraction from my own dance, and it can be really interfering with somebody. You know, they mightn't give a shit about the tissues at that moment, you know. So
Yeah,
like we're
our
just,
role. in action.
I've been asked to, to hold our own space, to hold my own dance, and to witness, maybe to witness some difficult emotion with somebody else, which can be very hard for a lot of us. Like we're encouraged to keep it all hidden and buttoned up, and that's a lot of emotion comes out in Ireland when we have the few drinks on. So then we've got permission, to all these, intense conversations about what's really going on that you might or not, you might remember the next day, or you might not. But we're being given a space to do that, and in the dance, we're being given the space to do that sober, conscious, in front of other people. Yes, other people can see this, it can see me in my mess, can see me in my, I don't know what's going on. And then I'm okay. Like 5 minutes later, I'm doing a different dance. So it's very powerful work.
And I love that.
Really.
You don't need to fix it or draw, there doesn't need to be a big conclusion drawn at the end. I mean, I know you often invite us to sort of share a word in the circle, or share if we feel the need to. But often people just kind of contain their experience, and it's like, imagine if everybody else was dancing 5 rhythms or doing some sort of embodied dance practice, and could then hold themselves in their lives and stay present with their stuff, witness others in their own movements and expressions. How healthy the world would be, because we're really being trained to kind of just hold steady in ourselves and be present with what is, and not have to fix it or change it or make it other than it actually is. It's just moving with the flow of that. And I suppose obviously I work in other modalities, and kind of, they call it talk therapy. For me, that's really very reductionist, because there's so much more going on in talk therapy. There's nervous systems regulating, and there's body kind of movements happening, but it is very unique to do that in 5 rhythms context. And I also like that you challenge us to engage with each other. Sometimes I can feel the resistance of like, oh, I just came here to dance on my own, I don't want to have to deal with anybody else, I'm holding space
for sure.
time. And then it's like, okay, how can I kind of be inside of my own space and be around somebody else and not lose myself, not jump up and out of myself into a role? How much do I mimic the other person's dance? How much do I stay in? Like, that's a whole other dimension to it. That's fascinating. Really good learning.
I wanted to thank you for bringing that up. I was going to want to mention that. Like, there is the dance, there's my dance, then there's me and you, if we're dancing, and then there's us, then there's the whole group. So there's all of these different levels. So some of us are, we all have different preferences. Some of us like come alive in partnership, and in that, are dying for that invitation to go into partnerships. Some of us really love the time to ourselves and just getting more and more into my own dance, and are like, oh my God, do I have to go and dance with someone else? Or a more group thing. So it can be provocative to us depending on our experience, but we can learn a lot. Certainly in the partnership one, what's my tendencies? Do I tend to wait? Even in terms of, if I say take a partner, do I wait for somebody to come to me? Or am I active, or can I tolerate to wait? Or do I just jump on someone straight away? I'm not going to be, is there someone for me?
Will I be left?
So there's so many things come up. And like, we can feel that going on in the body. We don't even always have to talk about it, but we can pay attention to that and what's happening in my body when this is going on. And it has it's totally applicable to my life, and these patterns, these patterns that are in me are not just visible on the dance floor, they're in my life as well.
Absolutely. It's a little laboratory and a microcosm of everything that goes on.
Yeah,
Because you can't sort of go into, it's not so easy available to, I don't know, go on your phone or, distract yourself when you have that uncomfortable feeling. You're
yeah,
invited to stay with it. It's,
yes,
oh, that's that feeling that I do this, I know this is familiar. I do this thing, this is how I feel in this kind of situation. And it's completely, mirroring what's
yeah,
going on in your relationships elsewhere, of course. Yeah. So
yes.
I wanted to ask you just a little bit more. We don't have much, we won't go on for too long because we could branch out and go on for a few hours. So I do want to kind of keep it to a watchable length, but
Sure.
and listenable length. But I wanted to just ask you a little bit more about your own kind of sense of yourself as a dancer, and what 5 Rhythms has done in your life. What role it's played for you in your own life and how you see that.
Yeah, well, as I said to you, like I'm dancing. I'm in this practice over 20 years now.
Yeah.
It was the late 97, 98 when I discovered it. And so yeah, it's been a very important part of my life since the get-go. Like I tried to do as much as I could. I really loved it. I was learning a lot. I was, really, really curious about this work, and how, these rhythms, at the beginning, it's like, oh, what rhythm am I? That was,
Yeah.
that time, what rhythm am I? What rhythm are you? What rhythm do you think I am? There was a lot of that at the beginning. So, just this real curiosity about this practice and about what it could bring. But when I'd do, like, I would always have, at the end of a weekend, I would always have learned so much. Sometimes I would feel really great. Other times it would be really intense, and I'd have stuff to work out during the weeks afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, there was definitely something in it for me that was very rewarding. There was, like, you could do heavy, deep work, but there was always a bit of fun in there as well. So that was really important for me. Like, lyrical, like, part of the genius of it is this rhythm of lyrical, which is kind of the lightness after the chaos.
Yeah.
And it's quite elusive. It's not always there, but like, there's the potential is there. The work too seriously, not to take life too
Irene, I've
seriously.
lost your sound actually. Sorry.
Okay,
No, it's okay. Sorry, keep going. It was actually at my end.
you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lyrical, that there was a fun element. There was a fun part built in. Now, for many years, I wouldn't have used fun at all because I was doing a lot of deep work and kind of releasing a lot, But actually, like, this rhythm of lyrical is really, really important in that arc, in the wave.
Yeah.
I made really good friends in 5 Rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
I made really close connections, really, it was one of the places in my life that was really a lot of honesty, a lot of honest communication, acceptance, a lot of acceptance, actually, just do your dance here. So acceptance, honesty, fun, and yeah, it's an interesting way to track my life as well, like, because I'm very different now than I was when I began, and so seeing that and seeing how my dance has changed,
Yeah.
and then making the commitment to be a teacher, that was a big deal,
At what
to
point
go
did you
from
do
being a
that?
student.
How long into your journey did you decide to to do that?
Very long into it, and it was kind of around things kind of changed for me when Gabrielle died. I kind of felt like I felt more drawn to come into the teacher role as a commitment to the work, as a kind of giving back to the work as well, because I'd got so much from this practice. I kind of felt, yeah, there was something in me felt like stepping into that role to continue this work, you know, to put it out into the world. In a way, you know, like every teacher is different. You know, every teacher has their own way of teaching
Absolutely.
the 5 rhythms. You know, everyone is different. Everyone is unique in their offering. So yeah, it was kind of honoring her, you know, honoring Gabrielle, because, you know, she had given so much, you know, like we do take it for granted now. There's an awful lot of dance practices, and there's a lot of, you know, offshoots from 5 rhythms, you know, that are in place now. But like she was the originator. I mean, obviously she took it from, you know, the cultures. Obviously we've danced way back, but she was bringing it back in a way that nobody else had done that. And she did dedicate her time. She did, you know, she did a huge service to all of us who were on the dance floors, you know, and she was just amazing. She's an amazing woman. And so for me, going into the training was a bit like, there was a bit of honoring her and keeping it going, because for a long time I was very happy to be a student, you know, and actually I'm still a student.
For sure, yeah.
Like I'm still a student. I still go to classes. I still go to workshops.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm a teacher now and I don't, you know, you're always a student as well. So that I like that about the thing. It's not like, as a teacher, you know, you keep it real by going to other people's dance floors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
absolutely,
you know, going through all the same things that anyone goes through on the dance floor.
I think that's
so you're
why
not.
Sorry, I was going to say I really respond to your cues because I feel that you've been in this journey as well, you know, so you get it. Like, you know
Thank you.
what we might be saying to ourselves, you know, what the pitfalls are,
Yes,
you know, the little kind of little traps of the ego. And just when you start kind of getting stuck in something, you know, then I hear you say, so it's like, oh yeah, she preempted that, or she sensed it in the room. And I have a feeling of being more with like a kind of somebody on the journey as well, you know, that you're on the journey and you're kind of holding space in a different way, but you're also human and have experienced these things.
Oh yeah, it's really important.
And I've really noticed an evolution, you know, just myself coming to you in the last few years. I can't remember how, you know, what year the first time, you know, that I met you was, but I definitely have a sense, and maybe it's also in the collective at the moment, but of just a much deeper dimension to it, you know, and a kind of there's more depth and more breadth and more sense of energy and of bringing ourselves as embodied, you know, spirit really in the room. It feels it's kind of there's just something kind of opening up in it that feels really gorgeous to see. Sometimes it's the space that brings that, but I've sort of maybe witnessed that evolution in you as well, that you're bringing in different dimensions into it in a gentle way, not in a kind of proselytizing way. It's just a lovely little invitation for people to go, oh yeah, now I have permission to actually feel more of myself beyond just this body, this material body, and to feel myself as a soul, you like, as a spark of the divine moving around this room. So I really appreciate that opportunity in that space to be allowed.
Thank you. That's lovely to hear that.
Yeah.
Like I think at the beginning, it's kind of like, you know, rabbit in the headlights, you know, coming out of a training, no matter what the training is, like that stepping up into that different role is a big deal. You know, whether it's in the therapist room or whether it's, you know, facilitator in adult education, youth group, whatever it is. Like I've worked with groups for a long, long time. But stepping into this role was different. But you know, some of the things are the same. You know, you're there. You've taken on this role, and you're very vulnerable. Like it's a vulnerable position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm 6 years teaching now. And yeah, I mean, I've certainly feel more sure of, you know, certain things, and more, you know, yeah, it is a spiritual practice. There's a strong shamanic element to the work, you know, so bringing that in more and more, you know, I think I've given myself permission to do that.
Yeah.
And I give people permission to take that or leave it, you
Do it
know.
lightly. You don't sort of shove it down our throats, and you do it very playfully, and it's so gorgeous because it's less of like the heaviness. Then it's like, yeah, this is already a thing. This is already in the room. So when you name it, it's a lovely kind of
Yeah.
settling, and yeah.
And there was definitely, you know, there was definitely weekends I was doing where, you know, I just felt such strong spirit in the room. It was totally palpable. I was like, oh, this is different, you know. So I could feel it. I could feel the support, and of course, everyone that's coming in, you know, it's obviously people in the group as well, bringing in themselves and their people, you know.
They're
But yeah, I
supporters.
definitely feel it. I feel it more now. It's more, yeah, this is happening. It's more like, say, yeah, this is happening. This is, we are really supported when we step into this practice. You know, that we have people, we have spirit, we have guides who wish us well, who want us, you know, who want us to do well in this life, who have our interests at heart, and who support us, who love to see us doing our work and developing and becoming, you know, fuller people, and you know, bringing spirit more into the world. Because God knows, you know, we do need it. We need to be showing up. We need to be strong. We need to be grounded. You know, we need so much. The world is so shaky at the moment.
Absolutely. And like that,
You know,
the grounding, you know, what better way to feel that, or that duality, you know, that we are kind of, you know, consciousness incarnate. So we're grounded, but also we reach to the heavens. We seek, you know, to be connected in a bigger way and something bigger than ourselves. So it's just such a perfect, you know, I don't mean it in kind of a metaphor analogy, but it's an embodied experience of that. It's a very real, visceral, present, simple, direct experience of that. That's free of concept. It's just like, yes, we're here, we're moving like dervishes, you know, and it's like, it's so grounding. When I come out of a wave, I feel so grounded, so in my kind of meaty embodied self, and calm and settled, and so uplifted, and so kind of enlightened, and so in contact with the ethereal realms as well. So it's such a gorgeous blend of the two, you know.
it really is, isn't
Such
it?
a beautiful way to experience that, not just, you know, dream about it or wonder or intellectualize it or critique it, or it's just like, it just is, and we're here moving. Yeah. I'm just
and I
actually
think we
have my little,
that's so gorgeous.
I'm just for those who are listening without the video, I'm grabbing my little
That's
kind
lovely.
of whirling dervish from Konya in Turkey when I went to the Rumi's shrine. So there's that,
That's
you know,
beautiful.
the one hand, I just thought of it there because the one arm up to the heavens and one arm down to the earth, and that we're spinning between the two, these little dancing hearts, you know, and everyone's so different and so unique. And yet at the end, I love it when you close with asking or inviting us to look in each other's eyes and saying, just like me. And that's such a beautiful way to close the dance, because we have so many, we're so different and unique, and yet we have such shared human struggles, and that's just that truth of being human and seeing ourselves in each other's eyes is such a lovely way to finish as well.
Yeah, it's that, yeah, because we can feel very isolated and very lonely. You know, there's a lot of us, you know, feeling that. And, you know, for me, like the dance has been that place of connection and acceptance
Mm.
more and more as, you know, as I go on. It's certainly, yeah, it's not always that, you know, there's just everything is welcome. That's what I would say. But I think there is something happens when we dance together for a couple of hours or for 5 hours, that we do that kind of, the connection becomes more obvious. You know, the witnessing is happening. The, like, obviously we know this now, you know, like we're connecting, our heart is opening, we can feel each other's heart.
Mm.
You know, where the mirror neurons are working.
Yes.
So we have all of these science words on it, but actually we just know it when we're dancing with
Mm-hmm.
people. How we feel at the beginning to how we feel at the end of a session is very different. And we feel kind of much closer a
Yeah,
lot of the times.
to
You know,
ourselves
we,
and
we
each
can
other.
experience that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what brings people
And
back.
it's a very
Keep
nice
coming back.
feeling.
There's so many things that could get in the way of it, but you can just tell when people come back and it's the same faces. You know, you're like, oh yeah, we've come back for more of this, whatever this magic thing is,
Yeah.
and it's different things on different days, but it's just like it keeps drawing
Yeah.
us back to ourselves and to each other. Yeah.
Oh God, I'm missing it now. I'm
I
missing
know
it.
that. I'm like, I really want to dance.
It's like, oh my God.
I'm gonna sign off now and just go and have my own little spin, or maybe we
I'm
could
missing
stay
it.
on and have our own little way. But
You
yeah,
know, like, just I hope we can open up again soon and have
mm,
some gatherings, like.
dance again. Yeah, because I dance at home now so much more, and I danced before doing this kind of thing, before sessions. I dance all the time, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's so unique in that particular container, in that particular
Yeah.
space. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah. Definitely.
Missing it. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
aware of the irony of like talking about 5 rhythms and it being such a
Yeah. Yeah.
funny thing, but thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing all of this, for sharing your perspective on it, and for
You're
doing
very
a job
welcome.
of conveying something of the essence of it, verbally and with your own unique energy. And every 5 rhythms teacher is completely unique. I've been
Yeah.
drawn to your particular energy. So yeah, it's been so valuable to me and such a big part of my own healing journey. And it's not that I was there like every single week, but it's just there in my, it
Mm.
integrates into your body as well. So it kind of keeps working on you
Mm.
even when you're not on the dance floor. I think it's allowed me to make more bold moves in my life, and to move in a different way in the world off the dance floor as well. Because I had that
Wonderful.
experience of, I did that shocking thing, or that thing that nobody batted an eyelid at, nobody even noticed. And I thought it was just so
Yeah.
outrageous.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, maybe I can also do that elsewhere. So that's such a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's so much. Yeah. Yeah. We could talk for
we
hours,
could. Is there
but we
anything else
won't.
that you feel like sharing before we end, or that feels like it's missing?
Um, no, I'm happy. You know, I just, as I say, I could go on,
Mm,
but you know, it's like, it's a beautiful movement meditation practice. It's open to everyone, all ages, all sizes, all races, all genders.
mm,
It's for everyone. You know, if you can, you know, if you have breath in your body, you can move, you can do your dance. You know, it's self-discovery, it's acceptance, it's honesty. There's a lot of things waiting for you if you're drawn to doing it, if you have any inkling to do it. And actually, like, it is a thing to do rather than talk about, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. Well, hopefully
Yeah.
this is, you know, offered some sort of little temptation or little breadcrumbs for anyone who is curious about it.
Yeah.
And I'll leave your
Yeah.
contact details as well below, all the different places I'll be posting this video
Brilliant.
and audio, so that people can get in touch with you, so that when we are allowed to dance again in in
Yeah.
groups in the public domain, that people can find you and find their way onto a dance floor with you. I highly recommend it. And yeah, I look forward to dancing with you in person again.
Yes, me
Maybe in
too.
time we'll keep doing our own dances because nobody else will. We don't.
That's it. That's it.
On dancing. All right, thanks so much, Irene, for taking this time to talk with me about this.
You're very welcome, Delphine.
Super enjoyable. So take
Thank
good
you.
care.
Thank you. See you soon.